The next section about update is the same with the create. When we want to update or create, it means we need to do something with the data and then we need to save the data. In this case, we are going to create one more function which is update member. In this function, there will be one more parameter, not only request, but we need to add the ID. So let's copy and paste this code into the fuse.py in the user mgmt. Okay, so we will create a new function update member in the fuse.py in the user mgmt. So in the fuse.py here, you can go to the last line and then paste the function update member. So in this function, you will see this code. If you create a new member, you will just get the form. But if you want to update the member, you need to do query. So here, I would like to do the query from the table member and then get the ID. The ID equals to ID. So what is this ID? This ID, there are two, okay? So the red color means the ID from the table, but the white color is the ID from the parameter that we get in a function. And then I would like to go again with the form. Okay? So the form will do the request post or none, and then the instance, okay, so the instance that we want to update is from the member. What is this member? This member is the data that we get from the query. The same with the previous one. If we check the form is valid, then save and then get back to the list member. Now we have two data. The first is the form and the other is member. Okay, the first is the data which is related to the form, and then the other is the member that we extract from the query. Now we can go to the next to update the link. Okay, so you can just copy the third path, okay, and then just paste on the URLs here. We have a new link. The link will be update. And I guess you already learned something about this int ID. This is about the ID of the data in your database. Okay. So last time we learned also about this in our previous PowerPoint about the model. Okay. So now we are going to update the data of the member with this update member function, and the name still the same, update member. For this update, you can update the list member.html. Yeah, you can do anything actually, but for this example, let's do something on the table. So on the table, I will put one more header. Okay, you still remember the th. The h is the table header. So we can go to the list member. Let's create one more column, EH update. If the row has one more column in the header, then the data should also have one more column. So the column in the below part, which is the TD, is to connect to the URL. So you can add below the member.email. Okay, in this case, it is an A, it's ref. Okay. So the its ref is a link, and the link will be going to this URL. Okay. So this URL is in between the curly bracket with the %, and then we will go to the update member. What is update member? If you press Control and click this one, then it will go to this one. So this is the link that you will go if you click the button. And then we will have one parameter, which is the member.id. So member.id is this one. Okay. And then it will show update. Okay, you can try with some little. Okay, now let's try. So you can check this one. There will be a button, update. Okay. When you click, for example, I want to click in the number 3. Okay, I would like to change the first name to DDD. Okay. So this link, you can see, okay. Now the link name is update, and then it shows the ID. The ID number is 3. So I would like to modify any information for the ID equals to 3. And then once I save, then yeah, it will return back with the new information as I already updated. Okay. Okay, I will give you some seconds to try this one. Okay, then you need to understand that this is similar with the create, but we need to add one parameter, which is the member ID. Okay. And then when we are in the form section, so we need to put also the information from the query. So the query, which is from the member, will be the instance in this form. Okay. So this is the way to get the data into the form in your web page. And the last one that we need to understand is how to deal with the delete. So CRUD or CRUD means the create, and then how to read, and then how to update, and how to delete. So D, let's make one more function in the views. So this is the delete member. Okay. And then you can put on the views.py. So any functions you want to create, you can just put on the views.py. And then the parameter is the same with the update. Let's suppose I want to delete one ID. Okay. Then I will put one parameter ID, and then I would like to get that member ID. After I know that member, if everything is correct, sorry, so I'm going to use the method post in order to delete the member. Okay. And we are going to create one more HTML file. You know that every time you want to delete, there should be a kind of confirmation. So we need to ask, do you really want to delete? Okay. So if you want to delete, then yeah, okay. If you do not want to delete, you can return back. For example, like that one. So we will create a new HTML to make this kind of confirmation. So after we create the views or the function, let's create one more link. Okay. And the link is below the update function. You can go to the URLs. So we have the delete link, and then we want to get one parameter, which is the ID. And after we have this link, let's go back to the HTML file. And in this example, I would like to add in the member form. Okay. So you already have the member form, and then I would like to add these 3 lines. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, so the 3 lines here means if the member exists, or if there is any member here, then delete the member. I hope that you still remember the if function in the Django. Okay, so this is the if function. So I will copy this file. I will copy these 3 lines, and then I will go to the member form .html, and then I will put here. So whenever I know there is a member data, I can delete it. But if it is a new, or if I want to create a new member, then there will be no button for this one. So this is a button. Okay. I will explain more about this button danger later. And this will go to the URL delete member. And then there will be one parameter, which is the ID, and then we will delete it. After this, we can create one more HTML file. And the HTML file name is member delete confirm, and put it into the template under the user management. Okay, so I will copy and paste this one, and then you can create one new function here. Oh, sorry, you have one new HTML file, because I already mentioned that the file name will be member delete confirm. So you need to follow that one. Yeah. Member delete confirm.html. You can change later. Of course, when you change the file name, yeah, you need to check the other related files that use this name. So the contents can be deleted, and then, oops, sorry, we need to copy and paste the code. In this code, we have one question. So it is also another form. Okay. So whenever you want to interact with the user, so you need to use form. And in this form, again, we use the post, and then the CSRF token is here. It is to ensure that there will be an interaction between the user information page with the server, and there is a security. And then you need to ask, are you sure to remove the member dot first name? Okay, so we want to make sure that the user knows the data that will be deleted. And then there will be a button delete. And then if you do not want, or if you want to cancel, just go back. Okay. So I can refresh this one. Okay, once you refresh, there are no button here. Where's the update button? Okay, where's the update button? You can go with the update. Okay, and you can see delete. Okay. So let me cancel. And then if you create new member, so if you create a new member, you will not see the delete button because it's new. If you want to update, yeah, you can see the delete button. It means, yeah, you can delete if you think that this data is not necessary, or if the data is not there anymore. Then, for example, I delete. Then there will be question: are you sure to remove DDD? If you cancel, then you will return back to the previous page. But if you click OK, delete, then it will return back to the member list, and then the data with ID 3 has been deleted. Okay. Okay. The same with the update member. We have the URL update member. In this case, we are going to go to the delete member. Okay, we have the href. We know the href is to go to another link, and we are going to use the delete member. So the delete member is in the member form. Yeah, this one. Whenever we create delete, we go to the delete member, which is another link to the member delete confirm, and we give the member ID. And then when we go to this delete member, we will give one ID, and it will go to this function, and this function will confirm about the data in the database. If this one is the post, then just delete the member. Okay. So it is the same with the query that we learned. Okay, so the query that we learned before, we have this one, delete. Okay, if we want to delete the data, then we just put the function delete, and then the object will be deleted. Okay, so in the last stage, yeah, I just want to explain that we create all those things, yeah, in this example based on this system architecture. You have the model, which is the member, and then we create the fuse.py, and there are 4 functions: list member, create member, update member, and delete member. So here is the function. We have list member, create member, update member, and delete member. And then we have the urls.py. We have 4 links. Okay. What are the 4 links? This is for the detail list, the insertion, the member update, and then the deletion. So the URLs contain 4 links. Okay, so this is the list member, add member, update member, and delete member. You can change the name. as you wish later. But I use this one, member deletion, update, insertion, and detail list. And for the template or for the HTML file, I have 3 HTML files. List member.html, and then member form.html, and then member delete confirm.html. So you can see there are 3 files here. So this system architecture is only for the user management. If you want to make the whole system architecture, let's say you want to include with the FAQ, then you will have the other system architecture. So it means when you have your team project, your system architecture will be a lot. It depends on your application. So this is only one application about the CRUD or the user management. But if your web contain a lot of information like what we saw before, the for example like this one, then there will be the system architecture for the patient, and then the system architecture for the cure, and there will be another system architecture. Okay. That's all for this section. Any questions, comments? If no, then I will go to the next. So for today, I give you the one PowerPoint about the sequence diagram. I will update more about the front end section, and we will discuss the front end next week. Okay. So today, let's discuss about the sequence diagram. So the sequence diagram is dealing with the form processing. Okay. So you already learned how to create the new data, and then how you update, and then how you delete. Okay. So those kind of steps can be designed in a sequence diagram. The sequence diagram is to design the flow, and we need to know how the flow on how to interact between the objects in the time sequence. So the sequence diagram, it shows the object interaction arranged in the time sequence, and it depicts the objects and classes involved in the scenario, and the sequence of messages exchanged between the objects needed to carry out the functionality of the scenario. So when you create your web page, you need to understand about the scenario. If the user is a new user, then he or she needs to register. And then after she register, then she can log in. Then that kind of scenario you need to design in the sequence diagram. These diagrams are widely used by businessmen and software developers to document and understand the requirements for new and existing systems. I will not explain more about the UML. We have the diagram name UML, or Unified Modeling Language. But for this purpose, I will just simply use the sequence diagram. So in the sequence diagram, there will be at least 3 things. Okay. Sorry, there are 5 things. Okay. The first is actors, and then lifeline, comments, and how can we distinguish later the lifeline, the actor, and then messages. So the actor means the object, the one who want to interact. For example, user. or manager, administrator, student, teacher, professor. Okay? So the person can be an actor or any kind of system. It can be also an actor. Lifeline. It is a name element that depicts the individual participant in the sequence diagram. So when we have this lifeline element, so this is lifeline. Okay. So this lifeline means whether this is kind of exists in the sequence diagram or not. Comment is just comment to just say about what is the meaning by this lifeline. Okay. So this is one example. For example, okay, the user would like to go to the theater, okay, and the theater is something like maybe the panel. Okay, so this is the theater panel, and the user will insert the card, and then the user select the date, and after the user insert the card, after the user select the date, the panel will show you, okay, this is the seat that you can buy, this is the seat that you can reserve. And after the user submit anything about the information of the seat, and then the user can submit the order. And then the data will go to the server. If it is still available, then it will give the confirmation to the user. So this is like, this is the first, and then this is the second, and then this is the next, 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 and this is the next. So that's what we call as the sequence. This is the lifeline. It means during this line, the actor or the user will do this operation. And this is also the lifeline. During this line, this theater will do the interaction with the user. And during this line, the server one will do the interaction with the theater. Okay. There will be messages. Okay. So the messages means the communication between objects depicted using messages. And when we create these messages, actually, yeah, there are many kind of symbols, but I do not want to make you confused with any symbols. So I just want to simplify about this one. So if you want to know about the messages, you can just type this kind of messages, whether you type with what I call here is like this one with triangle bracket. Okay, so actually this is related with the software, or you want to just create the kind of message with just text. So in this case, there will be an interaction between the customer and the bank. So the customer send a message to the bank, and the customer can send another message to the bank, or the customer can send a self message. Okay, maybe the customer wants to have a reminder for himself to pay some money, okay, and so on. And then the bank can reply the messages. But before the bank reply the messages, after the customer send the message, it will create another message to another agent. For example, it is about the insurance. So this kind of step, you can also write with numbers. Number 1, and then number 2, and then number 3, and then number 4, and then number 5, and number 6. Okay. There are some types of the message. Okay. yeah, this is just based on the theory. There are some messages like synchronous message, asynchronous message, return message, participant creation message, participant destruction message, and reflexive message. If it is about the synchronous, then yeah, just send message, okay, and return before carrying on with another message. So you just send one and then like just wait. If it is asynchronous message, is used when the message caller does not wait for the receiver to process the message and return before sending other message to the other object within the system. So the difference is something like this one. This arrowhead. So this is asynchronous message. This is asynchronous message. Synchronous message, the sender waits. Okay, when you send a message, for example, you want to call the customer service. When you call the customer service, you will send a message and then you will wait. So that's what we call as synchronous message. The asynchronous message, for example, this is just a confirmation. For example, you order online and then after you get the product, you will get a message. So the message will be just one way. Okay, you don't need to get any confirmation. You just need to send a message. I already got the product, for example. So it means the message will be delivered and the sender does not wait. Return message. So you send a message and then you need to get the return. Okay. For example, if you log in, okay, when you log in into one system, you need to get the confirmation whether you are eligible to log into the system or not. So participant creation message. The objects do not necessarily live for the entire duration of the sequence of events. So objects or participant can be created according to the message that is being sent. So if I send a message, so there will be another kind of message to another object at the same time. So for example, this one, if I give you, if I log in into the system, okay, if I log into the Kupang, for example, and then after I log into the Kupang, and then I connect to one of the supplier of the product, and then I want to communicate with the supplier of the product. So it means there will be a message to the Kupang that I online to the Kupang, and then there will be another message to connect to the supplier. Destruction message means just delete. Okay, when you have finished with the message and you want to delete all the information, all the communication, then you can destroy. So usually when you have like the uh, complaint or anything in the web, you want to save it. But in some cases, you want to delete the privacy information. Then this also exists in the sequence diagram. And reflexive message. So if it is a message for sending to the current object, okay. So this kind of things maybe it is a kind of like reminder, okay, when you want to make like a schedule payment. So every month you want to pay for your electricity. Every month you want to pay for example, your gas. Okay. Then you will make a schedule and there will be a message to the object or for ourselves. And this is the sequence diagram. And how can we correlate the sequence diagram and the class diagram? So the sequence diagram can be obtained from the class diagram. I hope that if you already joined computer programming, if you joined the data structure, yeah, you already understand what is class. Okay, and we can create the class according to the class we created in the Python file, for example. So the class diagram is the diagram that we can create based on the object-oriented paradigm. Let's say if we are in the ADM, okay, so the ADM class ADM will have two data, which is the ID of the ATM and the cache of the ATM. And then there will be many functions. For example, switch on, switch off, get ID, card inserted, read card, verify pin, and so on. So those are the methods in the class ATM. And then this ATM will connect to the card reader. So there will be a card reader, and then yeah, it can connect to the ATM with certain function like insertion the card, reading the card, or reading the card. And you know that in the ATM there will be a kind of session. So if you cannot finish the transaction, or if there is no interaction in some seconds, then the operation will be stopped. So we have like the session class. So we can create the sequence. Okay. So in this case, we need to create the sequence, the card inserted to the ATM, and then it will create the session. And once the session is created, okay, we perform the session. So here is the lifeline. We create like a kind of block. Okay. So this is the block. Okay. And you can do anything during this lifetime. If you exit this lifetime, then there will be no operation. Okay. So that's the meaning by the lifeline. So the lifeline is not only this dash, but we can also specify with this kind of block to specify the particular time. For example, after 1 minute, you will stop the operation. So we can, after we perform the session will read the card and it will give the information, okay, the card is okay. Now you need to give something to the session. For example, okay, there is already information in the card, in the panel, and then the session will send information about pin. Okay, then the card reader will show you, please input your pin. And then when you input your pin, it will go to the session again, and then it will return back that, okay, whether the pin is correct or not correct. Okay. So this sequence is very detailed. That's why when you create this sequence diagram, I am afraid that you will spend many times, okay? Because, for example, yeah, this is another example. Okay? When you want to create the user registration, so you need to make the user registration and then user login, user list, user delete, user modify. So when you register, you input the name, email, nationality, user ID, password, and then you will return back to the registration status, whether it is accepted or not. And then once the user wants to log in, okay, and then the login page will verify. If it is true, yeah, then yeah, we can enter to the welcome page. And then if it is false, it goes to error, and then it sends message back to the user. Then your login is error. So in the welcome message here, if your role is admin, then you can have the function to delete. Okay. And then if you delete, then it will show the deletion result, or you can modify. You can show the modification result. But if there is no role of admin, yeah, you will just show the welcome message and then finish. And the user list, if your role is admin, so everything that you do with the deletion, everything you do with the modification, there will be a response to the user. Yeah, the same with this one. I think it shows the way of the step. Oh, maybe this is the same with what we already did in the CRUD. In the CRUD example that we just did, we have the list member, we have the create member or add members, and then we have update, and we have delete. So the user, when they see the list member, they can add the member. What is add member? Yeah, we want to add one data and then verify the data. If it is error, then yeah, we need to give the error message to this add member. If it is true, then the list member will be updated. If we want to modify the ID, we go to the update member. Okay, so this is the object, or this is the page, or anything related to the sequence. If the modification result is correct, okay, so we need to validate. If the validation is correct, then we will show to the list member again. If it is false, yeah, then we will go back to the update member and say something. Okay, your update is not correct. Or the other things is about delete. When you delete this one, if you cancel the deletion, it will go back again to the update member. But if you are deleting the data, then you will see the deletion result. Okay, so this is the sequence diagram, and I hope that you can create this one at the final report. Okay, and we are going to discuss this one in your progress report after the mid exam. Okay, I think that's all for today's class. Yeah, if you can design your sequence diagram for your proposal, that's also good. But I guess at this moment, it's difficult to design the sequence diagram.